In my previous video, I showed you how to remove the air intake assembly of this 2017 Hyundai Accent. The next job on the list is to remove and clean the intercooler and pipings. Just a reminder, this car has an aftermarket intercooler and pipings, which is different from the stock setup. But still, the concept of removal and cleaning may be applied. First thing I'm gonna do is to jack up the front end. Be sure to put some jack stands or axle stands. This is where I put the jack stand in most vehicles. I don't use the pinch weld because that has a tendency to bend or deform over time. You can clearly see that the pinch weld is already deformed. I make sure to put it on the jacking points, where it is located at the back of the pinch weld. I always put a small piece of wood as a caution on the jacking points. I use the hydraulic jack on the pinch weld, but I make sure that it has a rubber adapter pad in between to prevent bending the pinch weld. Now, there is more space to work in. There you can see the Allen bolts that holds the intercooler. In order to get access to the other bolt, I need to remove the horn assembly. Grab a 12mm socket for the bolt of the horn bracket. Keep the horn assembly aside. I will use an Allen wrench to remove the Allen bolts. Here are the two Allen bolts. Next, I will loosen the metal clamps of the intercooler hoses. I use a flathead screwdriver for this type of clamp. This is also a good idea to inspect the condition of the hoses. This hose has a crack on the surface, but it doesn't have a leak at all. I tried to look for a replacement, but sadly, there are no available stock for it. The owner of the vehicle said that he will replace it in the future, so I'm gonna reuse it for now. If you encounter this kind of situation, it is best to replace it with a new one. Also, check the fitment of the hoses. Make sure to create some adjustments when you reinstall them everything back together. Next, I'm gonna remove those two bolts underneath that holds the intercooler. I am using a 12mm socket for the bolts. The intercooler is now free from the mounting points, but I couldn't remove it because those two hoses are hard to pull. So I'm gonna loosen those two clamps and eventually pull the intercooler. The intercooler will be cleaned using diesel and gasoline. You can use either of the two. I'm gonna fill it up with diesel first. Set it aside and let the diesel soften the dirt inside the intercooler. Next, disconnect the vacuum hoses from the blow-off valve and vacuum fitting. This vacuum fitting is loose and can cause a leak from the system. I'm gonna seal it using a Teflon tape upon reinstallation process. Loosen the clamp and pull the whole pipe. Be sure to check for electrical sensors like this before removing the whole pipe completely. Also, be sure to clean every electrical connectors using an electrical cleaner. Remove the other pipe too by loosening the clamp and pulling the pipe. Here you can see that there's a leak from this spot. It can be caused by a loose clamp or an oversized silicone hose coupling. The intake manifold is really filthy and it has a leak too. I will be fixing that in another video. Time to drain the diesel from the intercooler. As you can see, it is quite dirty. Also, be careful not to bend the cooling fins of the intercooler. You can use that diesel to clean the external housing of the intercooler. Use a soft bristle brush on the cooling fins. I will now pour gasoline as my final cleaner on this intercooler. I will now drain the gasoline from the intercooler. I will also use that gasoline to clean the external housing of the intercooler. I use a compressed air to dry the intercooler. You can simply wipe it off and let it dry if you don't have an air compressor at home. Carefully wipe off the intercooler. After cleaning, here is something to check for the intercooler fins. You will see some of the cooling fins are bent or out of shape. You can reshape it by using a small flathead screwdriver. Just inspect it carefully and you can encounter something like that. If possible, reshape it back before you install the intercooler. Remember to dismantle every parts before you clean the pipings. I use a 10mm wrench for this bolt. Clean this sensor with a contact cleaner. This HKS blow-off valve is held down by a snap ring or C-clip. Use a long nose pliers or a snap ring pliers to remove it. This is the snap ring and this is the base or the adapter of the blow-off valve. Don't forget to remove the O-ring. This is how the blow-off valve looks like. I will use a carb cleaner to clean this blow-off valve later. Clean the pipings, hose connector, and clamps with a degreaser. I'm using a carb cleaner to clean the blow-off valve. After cleaning the inner part, wipe off the outer part with a clean cloth. I'm gonna insert a plug on this vacuum line before I start spraying the outer part with a cleaner. Wipe it off again with a clean cloth. And now, here we have a clean blow-off valve ready to be installed. Next thing that I'm gonna remove is this pipe that is connected to the turbo. It is held by two 10mm bolts. And at the back, you need to loosen a metal clamp. Here is how it looks like when the pipe is removed. It is also a good idea to remove and inspect the pipe connector. It is still in good condition, except for this little damaged area. This will be replaced by the owner soon. Clean these parts with a degreaser. Before you install this small vacuum fitting, put some Teflon tape on the threads to make it secured and sealed. Clean the sensor with an electrical cleaner. Reinstall it and make sure to tighten the bolt. Put the O-ring seal back on the base plate. And reinstall the blow-off valve with a snap ring. Try to rotate it to make sure that it is seated properly. I reinstalled everything back together when I was finished cleaning the intake manifold and EGR system. Next video in the process is the removal, cleaning, and reinstallation of the intake manifold. But before that, I released an extra video about cleaning the condenser of this vehicle. Just click the link on the screen or check the link in the description box below to watch that video. I hope you find this video helpful. If it was, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you very much and God bless.